I'm sure a few people are probably wondering where a slam attack build is. Me personally, I've never enjoyed that playstyle. Okay, so admittedly when I did my last Wukong video, I may have missed the mark in the sense that I didn't do a Wukong slam build in that video. It's just not something I thought I'd enjoy because it's kind of a spammy setup. But after doing a bit of research and seeing all of the different setups and weapons that people use for Wukong slam attacks, I ended up finding a weapon that I actually kind of enjoy to use within this sort of format, and that is the Furax Wraith. One, because, well, it has an incarnate, and two, it's a fist weapon as opposed to, the popular hammers that everyone seems to use. There are a lot of good slam attack weapons you can use for this setup, and we'll cover some of them briefly, or at least mention them so you guys have options. But today's building video will be focused around the Furax. And the reason why I enjoy it is because it's overall quite fast. I'm not too big on hammers in this game due to the fact that they are slow, and arguably the best slam attack weapon, specifically for this build as well, is the Arc-Titron. But that thing is just an absolute slug, although it makes up for the fact that it has massive amounts of damage. The way Wukong works with the slam attack builds is very simple. You enter your Cloud Walker, and whenever there are enemies near, you just heavy attack. The heavy attack will of course slam the ground and pretty much nuke anything around you, the Cloud Walker allowing you to move quickly from enemy to enemy, and it even stuns enemies that are close to the area in which you recast, and it just creates a perfect synergy. So I will quickly mention some other alternatives to the Furax Wraith, but first we're going to cover the weapon itself as to why I'm using it. Of course, it has a pretty unique incarnate form where you gain heavy attack efficiency on your slams, and you'll leave AoE heat damage fields after you do the heavy slams. The evolutions don't matter too much, but I'll show them just for the sake of it. The range is super nice, and then having the ability to proc slash off of impact status is also really useful, but the reality is most enemies are going to be one-shotted by your heavy slams, so this won't really get procced often, but if you want to take it far enough, I guess it could be procced. And other than its attack speed, another reason I really like this weapon is due to the fact that it has access to the Amalgam mod. Not only does it give you combo duration and fire rate on your secondary weapons, but whenever you kill enemies, it will proc blast and stagger enemies within 15 meters, and of course, since the blast rework with all the status changes, this is way stronger. And you know what, since whilst we're here, we'll get straight into the Furax build and cover why I have. We have Killing Blow and Seismic Wave to help with our heavy attacks and slams, Orban Shatter and Gladiator Might for crit damage, Sacrificial Steel for our crit chance, and the Riven I have in here isn't super necessary. If you want to achieve the same level of red crits that you see in the gameplay, I guess you would replace this with Blood Rush, but my Riven gives crit chance, Toxin and combo. And the reason I'm running full Toxin on here is simply because I have melee exposure on this build to not only land corrosive damage, but also we are running Nourish on our Wukong, thus giving us Viral, Toxin and Corrosive, not to mention the blast that we get on the melee kills. And just before we get into the Wukong stuff, let's cover some alternative slam attack weapons that you guys might want to check out. First one of course being the Arc-Titron, which is arguably the best. It has a unique trait where every melee kill you get give you a stack, that stack granting you plus 250 damage and plus 2 meter range, and you can stack this up to 5 times, and then your slam attacks also apply electricity. Combining this with melee influence, you can already see where this is going. So if I was to kill a few enemies first, with the base attacks, you'd see I'd start stacking up these charges right here. Then I can go and do my heavy slams, and boom. And it also has really good tick damage over time due to the electricity, and of course its range. And as you can see, I don't have the stacks anymore, which means I'd have to get some regular kills to fill that up again. Here you can see I have 4 stacks. Yeah, it's pretty broken. The Fragile Prime is of course another good recommendation purely because it's a hammer and this thing has insane crit stats as well. You're going to see that pretty much any and every hammer is good for this. But a hammer that combines not only one of the similar features to the Furax with its amalgam mod, and also the benefits of just being a hammer, is the Jacker tag. The Jacker tag has access to a mod called Vulcan Blitz, which basically does the same thing that the Furax amalgam mod does, except it's more damage, and this scales off of enemies' health as well. The primary difference being in the fact that it has shorter range, but that's not really going to matter. This will be even more powerful versus enemies without armor, especially infested, but when we show the demonstration here, you can see that it's still pretty good. And of course we're using melee influence on here to proc the electricity and spread it, and this is my version of a slam attack build for it. I'm not the biggest fan of the Jack tag as a weapon, because I do feel like if you want to get the most out of it, you're going to want to armor strip. As you can see, when you get that blast proc going off, this thing will eviscerate hordes, and that damage scales really nicely as well. Another one worth mentioning would be the Sancti Magister, or the regular one, depending on which one you want to use with its Incarnon. I don't own the Incarnon, so I can't show it here. But the Incarnon hammer I will show is the Cybear. Not only does it create a cold blast radius with heavy slams, here are my Incarnon evolutions for it, but outside of just having crazy amounts of damage, the thing also possesses really good range. And going for a blast electricity melee influence setup is pretty potent here as well. Here's my ribbon if you're curious. Of course, much like the Furax, for this you're going to want to charge up the weapon's Incarnon first, which means unfortunately swinging it around. Anywho, those are a few suggestions for other melee weapons you could use for this setup. Now let's get into the Wukong build. Now of course, if you've seen the previous Wukong guide on this channel, you'll know that I have all of these shards stored in him for crit damage. These are overkill, they're not necessary, but I'm a big fan of this Warframe, so that's why I've invested so much. And because we're not using Primal Fury with this setup, that is our choice to subsume off for Nourish. The viral damage is coming in really handy here. The energy bonus you're probably not going to need too much, because the kill rate of this build allows you to pick up a large amount of energy anyway. We're really just using this for the viral damage. We're keeping a decent amount of survivability with Umbral Vitality, Arcane Guardian, Adaptation, and for our energy and duration we have Prime Flow, Equilibrium, Prime Continuity. For our strength we have Umbral Intensify and Blind Rage, and then for even more melee damage, especially on our slams, we've got Arcane Fury, Still Charge, and then Naira's Anguish and Naira's Hatred for the bonus increased damage from slam attacks by plus 200%. If you're going to do a slam attack build on Wukong, these are the mods you want. What you can do with your Wu clone is give it an epitaph if you want to prime enemies or put other elements on them, maybe have it shooting blast or viral on enemies as you're running around meleeing everything. You'll keep your Nourish on and Defy whenever you need it. And of course you're also really going to want to build up that Incarnon combo. So there I have my Incarnon form ready, and then I heavy attack to activate it. And then when I go in and do my heavy attacks, everything's going to die. And with the use of Madurai with the bonus casting speed, I can do this extremely quickly. You can see the difference between this and the Titron. This one's much faster and hits very high numbers, but the range isn't as good. But I just prefer this one as a playstyle overall. Here's a quick look at Madurai, of course, for Sling Strength and then Power Transfer for both Strength and the casting speed bonuses. And then I was using my Adaza Kavat Big Boy for his bonus crit chance that you get from Cat's Eye, and then using Tech Enhance to increase the amount of time that we have with this buff. And another thing you can do is use Pack Leader or Prime Pack Leader, and every time you land that melee hit, you're going to give your cat Overguard, which acts as a shield gate for your cat, thus making it functionally unkillable. And of course, another thing you can do on your primary and secondary, you can use the dexterity mods to gain that plus 7.5 combo duration on your melee weapon, thus allowing you to keep that damage multiplier a little bit longer. And you know what, because I'm a Primal Fury enjoyer myself, I can't help but throw in a little Slam Attack Primal Fury setup in here if you want to use his 4th ability as a Slam Attack build, which of course would require you to not subsume off his 4. So maybe you could throw on Nourish over his 3 or maybe even his 1, or not at all. So that is a Wukong main's guide to the slam attack setup. I'm aware it was very silly of me to not cover this in the previous Wukong video, but after giving it a shot, I can't lie, seeing the big funny red numbers pop up on the screen and just one-shotting everything is actually kind of addictive. And of course, not every heavy attack weapon was mentioned in this video. There's also that Sampotez weapon, whatever the fuck it's called. Apparently that one's really good. And I think that's something I really enjoy about this setup, is that you're not specifically tied to just one weapon, and you've got quite a lot of choices to mix it up and maybe have different kinds of fun. And of course, you don't need all of those purple shards that I have. Those are complete overkill. And if you haven't tried this setup before, I highly recommend you give it a go. It's actually kind of fun. Anyway, I appreciate you guys for watching the video. I'll leave you with a little bit of the gameplay and the fashion, of course. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying what you're seeing, and be sure to follow me on Twitch if you want to see me do these runs live. Appreciate you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.